Welcome to Vancouver with Naveed Waraich. This is Tauseef Waraich, and behind the camera there's Naveed Waraich. This is a continuation of our dialogue and analysis of the 2023 World Cup that is happening in India. This past week was a very important one. Some very important games were played. There were a lot of games, but we're going to focus on three main games, and we will talk about what is now happening in future, so we can predict some, and we get some more analysis from Ron as well. So we're here. So we're here with Ron Grahm, the superstar of British Columbia, and he's played some professional cricket, so obviously he comes from a heavy background of knowing cricket, playing with some of the masterpieces of West Indies and other around the world. So we're going to talk about this World Cup 2023, just past week, and then we're going to talk about three games, and especially Ron, first of all, how is your watching cricket at 1:30 a.m.?
Yes, I finished work and I just stayed up all night. I had some dinner and I just watched cricket all night. I didn't sleep a wink because the India-Pakistan game was, I was edge of my seat. I was nervous, but I went to work like happy guy the next day.
Excellent. Yeah. And I think we've all been watching cricket, delightfully, and I think there's quite a bit of quality as well as I think we're getting some of the roadblocks in some of the teams that we thought, they'll really do well. But let's first of all talk about the South Africa-Australia game. South Africa, we know they're on the high horse, and we know that they were going to do well. But we didn't really see the shoulder down, the body language down from Australia ever. I mean, we grew up with the Shane Warnes and McGraths and Pontings and Gilchrist. What's happening?
There's something missing in that team. I don't know if it's the chemistry. As I said last week, they're missing a top quality spinner. And Maxwell is not a top quality spinner. Zampa is struggling, and the batting is a little bit off, because you've got Marsh open in the batting, and I think he'd be better suited down the order as an all-rounder. It looks like Green is tired. I don't think he played last game. He looks like he's tired. And a lot of pressure on Smith and Warner, he's at the end of his career. So Australia's going to have a hard time getting out of the bottom level right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's start to talk about, I think the pitch was good. It was an excellent pitch to bat on. Australia says South Africa, go ahead, bat. South Africa bats, and Quinton de Kock, who was saying, let me retire, and they're saying don't, and he's been scoring hundreds. So he scored the 100, he took the lead, he took them all the way through. But the bowling was, and let's talk about so South Africa batting, let's talk about that first, and then we'll just go to the Australian bowling and their strength of fielding, how it happened. So let's talk about the South Africans batting.
South Africa they're in the zone right now. Everybody's clicking, and I think confidence take it to the next level. When people are confident and everybody's ticking the boxes, the level is raised so much. The bowling for Australia is not any penetrative thing. And then when Australia went to bat, they just couldn't get it going. And South Africa just clinically just used the bowlers well. Jensen and Rabada, he didn't open the bowling, but he's a hell of a bowler anywhere. So I don't think Australia is on par right now. The average scores are over 300, and there's about 5 teams in this tournament right now that aren't even getting over that, and that's a problem.
In your lifetime, have you seen Australia dropping 6 catches? In a match?
Never happened. Even in the local league here, there's a team here called Marilomas. My God, these guys pride on how they play the game. So they feel like no man. Even the older players, they just bring the level up. So something is wrong with that team. And it's beyond us. We don't know what's going on in the back of the room, but there's probably some things going on. It's not clicking.
No, and Ron, let me pick your brain for. We've always seen some very aggressive captaincies from Australia, and normally their captains are leading from the front, whether it was Ponting or Clark or you name it. They're all there. Pat Cummins makes a statement that he's coming to terms with one-day international, and he's a captain. He's leading the team into the World Cup. What's happening there?
He made the wrong statement. He can't be coming up to terms. He needs to be ready. He should be excelling. Having a bowler as a captain is very difficult, and especially when he's not overwhelmingly tearing the top order apart, right? Mitchell Starc, still a good player, but all these guys are starting to age a bit, and they've got some young bowlers in the wings, but I think they should start squeezing these guys in. But Pat Cummins and captaincy, probably not. I would have gone with Smith. Smith was a veteran, and he's another passionate guy. You see how he prepares. Apparently, he sleeps in his pads nights before the game, and he's shadow bathing in the hotel. That's passion for me. I don't know if Cummins is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's a different level.
It is a different level.
Yeah.
So I think so you need a couple of spinners at least in India. Some would go with 3, but Australian team has gone with 1, and that is Zampa. The problem with Zampa, number one, his background, we talked about it last week too, that he comes from a T20 zone of the cricket. But having said that, then you play IPL, then you play a lot of cricket in India, and everybody knows you. All these players from around the world, they've seen you, they've played you, and they played big shots against you. So he can't control his average.
No.
I think Maxwell is trying his best to be a supportive bowler, and I think he's, to be honest, I mean, if he's not a regular bowler, and if you're scoring, if you're giving your average is less than 4 runs an hour or 5 runs an hour, you're doing okay, right?
Yes.
So I think the combination, you think that's a problem. Captain is not really looking eye to eye. So there are a few things other than just the technicalities of the cricket.
Yes, it's all over the map. I mean, Maxwell he's what you call a little stock bowler. You put him on maybe to buy a wicket, but this is a World Cup and it's 50 overs. 4 overs, you may get away with it, but not at this level.
Yep.
And on the Indian wickets, you got to have some variation. You can't just put the ball in the air and just expect results against a good team like South Africa, who are clicking at 100% right now.
Absolutely. So out of these two teams, who do you see moving forward?
South Africa, no doubt. I think South Africa is going to be up there. India, New Zealand, and my 4th team is going to be Pakistan. I'm not going to give up on Pakistan.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But so before moving on from Australia, we know that South Africa is strong. They've covered all their bases. So if you're the Australian captain, what would you do with the current team? Because if you look at it, Mitch Marsh is the one that they're relying so heavily, just like, and we'll talk about Afghanistan. So they want him to fire right in the beginning, and then they have this Smith. And then they have Maxwell, to finish the games. But Mitch Marsh is not going anywhere. Australia is not going anywhere in the batting lineup. 177 chasing 311. So if you're the captain, or if you're the consultant or the manager, what would you tell them?
I think they need a psychologist. I think for me, I don't know how they have their meetings, but you look at the squad of players, and they need to probably bring somebody up out of that depth. I wouldn't have Marsh up in the batting. I mean, Warner, or replace Warner, one of the two. But this is Warner's last kick at the can. Having Warner there as a left hand, it does help because it affects the bowler's line. So you need another batter that can work with Warner and pick up the singles. Instead of just going blasting from ball 1, runs your 1s and 2s and try to build a score. If Smith bats too early, it's too much pressure.
Yeah, true enough.
If he gets a good ball, then you're down 2 wickets. Then what? Right?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
that's why they're sliding so much.
Looking for insurance that's as unique as you are? Well, you found it. Syed Asif Iqbal, your go-to expert for all your insurance needs. Whether it's your home, car, business, travel, or life insurance, Asif can help you to get covered. Call Syed Asif Iqbal at 778-680-1000 and experience the difference today.
So Ron, let's talk about the most important. cricket match so far in the tournament, and that is Pakistan against India. So, and I'll tell you the non-cricketing analysis right in the beginning. For me, if you win the toss, and if you're Pakistan or India, and you choose not to bat in the surroundings of the Indian Pakistani pitches, you're not very confident. So when India won the toss and they decided to field, I thought they had they could score 400 runs and put Pakistan pressure right in the get-go, right? Rather than going and taking that pressure. So I like their confidence, but at the same time, I don't think there was a confidence right in the beginning. What do you think?
It's a strategy. First of all, you're playing at home. There's 130,000 people in the stadium going crazy.
Yeah.
So there's your 13th man and 12th man, the crowd. So you go in there and say, okay, you guys go have a go at it, right? And there's pressure from ball one. And Pakistan started very well. They started steady. Then they lost the 2 wickets. And then Babar came in and Rizwan, they were batting really well. And I got to give credit to the Indian captain. He used the bowlers well. He made a lot of changes. I wouldn't have bowled Siraj that long to start with. I would have brought him back because he hasn't been on his game quite yet. I don't know why Shami's not playing. Anyway, but he came and just bowled a nice delivery. Baba just put it down the wrong line and he got out. And after he left, too much pressure on Rizwan. Yeah, he did it the last game. Before that, it's hard, right? And needed support, and then they just crumbled. And then Bumrah come back on and then took up the middle order. So it was over. Well, I was disappointed that they didn't grit it out more because they lost 8 overs. Yeah. And that's 8 overs is like another 40, 50 runs. I think it could have made a difference.
Absolutely. And I think in the mid overs, one of the commentators, he was making that statement again that that he was so proud that neither India nor Pakistan have capitulated under the stressful conditions, and 2 overs later we started to see Pakistan going down, and I think we lost wickets too early. And pressure is one thing. You're a bowler, I've done some amateur bowling. The line of the Bumrah and Siraj on the off stump when the world-class batter like Rizwan and Babar, when they missed this line, maybe on the 4th stump coming into the stump, what's going on? I mean, they're the best of the best, and if I can see it, how could they not see it? It wasn't something that ball was moving so much and they were bringing it in. It was a simple line, and kudos to them that they never forgot their line, even though they were doing steadily okay. But how did they even miss it? Is that a pressure?
It has a lot of things to do. They're battling. What's the next step? We lost 2 wickets. Now they have to think, what's the score that we're looking at? And they have to build another innings, build a partnership. You've got that, and then you've got the bowlers bowling on the line of length. As I said, wicket to wicket, hard to score off a wicket to wicket.
Absolutely.
Can't beat it. And I said it last week, and I see it in all the other teams. Bowl wicket to wicket with some variation, and the teams that's batting will struggle.
And I would say, as we mentioned it in the last week too, for me the make or break was Abdullah Shafiq for Pakistan. He was the one who if he had scored 100, everything else would have gone wrong, because that Babar and Rizwan, they'll take it through, but they weren't going to go at strike rate of 120 and 130. So that's when we lost the wicket. And I know, I don't know if you noticed that few of the balls, they weren't really going at the top of the stump. They were more on the middle and the under half of the stumps. That could have been different, but then again, playing across the line at that level of a cricket, there's no excuse for
disaster.
That. Yeah, there's no excuse for that. At the end of the day, Ron, I felt that they went with the Shardul Thakur, that is their main bowler. I don't know why they weren't playing with Ashwin. When you're winning, the captain looks really good, and I'm not taking anything away from Rohit Sharma, as a player and as a captain he is. But as you mentioned, coming back with Siraj, and they were lucky to get that wicket. Siraj wasn't the right thing to do, in my opinion. Again, they know their game. But sure, they got lucky and they got a wicket, and that's how everything else happened with that. But rest of the bowlers, they weren't doing as good, to be honest. If Pakistan had scored 280 plus, 320 was a winning score at this pitch, and they were on course with that.
Yes.
So things weren't going too well until Pakistan said, no, we're not going to score. It doesn't matter how. Yeah. So you think the India went with the right lineup? I mean, Shardul Thakur, he bowled well, like 2 overs.
I wouldn't have gone with Thakur. I would have brought either Ashwin or Shami in.
Yeah.
Because Shami is very good in one-day cricket. I think he's their top wicket taker in one-day cricket. So I'm not sure why he's not playing. Or if you're going to play, I wouldn't have played Gill either. Because if you've got then the Gay fever, and you're just in bed because he didn't make the last trip, so I don't know why they selected him. I would have gone back with Ishan Kishan, or if you don't, Ishan Kishan, and then played Ashwin and left Thakur. Because Ashwin can bat. I seen him score Test 100, so I know he can bat. But they have a plan how they're playing this game, so it's going to be interesting who plays the next game, because the next match is against Bangladesh, so they might probably give Shami a go, because you never know, injuries happen.
Oh yeah.
And so they might make sure that all these players get a little bit of a chance. So I would like to see Ashwin in the team and Shami for the Bangladesh match.
I want to ask you, Ron, just one last question on this Pakistan and India. And I think as a bowler, I wanted to ask you a question, right? So when you're a bowler, you have a new cherry in your hand, maybe a wrong term now because, they go with white balls, right? Yeah. When you have a new ball in your hand, you're really hoping that you go in, you drop your ball at the line and length that you desire, and you want to, your body's trying to act up. Yes, you've done warm up, whatever, but you are at the mercy of the batsman too, that he is behaving okay to let you bowl at the line and length. And that's when you decide, okay, it's swinging, it's not swinging, you're going to do seam, you're going to do whatever. There are 2 types of batting going on these days. One is a very offensive way of getting on with the South Africans. English do the same thing. New Zealand is doing the same thing. Pakistan is on the other end of it. They let you settle as a bowler, right? And I know that's Babar's captaincy, and that's how he wants to go with this. Yes, it works. They always say, we won 70% of the games. What's your problem, right? But at this stage of the World Cup, do you think that's a right way to even approach when you let the bowler and Bumrah is a world-class bowler. It doesn't matter how you look at it. You let him bowl at the line and length. You're telling Siraj, yeah, we're scoring you 6-7 runs an over, but still come in and bowl at the line and length.
Well, the simple answer to that, Pakistan bowling wasn't bad, but Waraich and Gill just went after them. Yeah. Set the tone. If they get out, they get out because they have batting to come. But they set the tone. But that's confidence. Yeah. I'm not sure why Pakistan doesn't have that mentality, because you got to have at least one attacking batsman out there to get things going. If he gets out, your number 3 is a quality guy that's going to come and regroup your team. But if you start off defensive and the ball is going wicket to wicket, you can't score. And if you lose a wicket, you're behind the 8 ball. Yeah. So that's a big difference. 50
overs, you got to have those 2 players that you say, if we sacrifice, we sacrifice. And then if we still need to score 250 runs, 280 runs, yes, we have Babar Rizwan playing at 2 down and 3 down and 4 downs. But you have 1 down Babar, 2 down Rizwan, and then you have nobody to score runs at the pace what's required in the area. And my problem as a bowler is, I always say this, that if you let me bowl and let me do line and length, I'll learn from you. They were actually experimenting with them, that should they even bounce them or not.
I know, I don't see many short balls.
Right, yeah. So, and it's because it's the batsman's not going anywhere. But if they were going somewhere, they would experiment more, they'll let them score. Out of 6 balls, they're going to give them 2 balls that they can hit. Or at least they have an opportunity. But right now they said, okay, give me wicket to wicket, we're going to dead stop you. I thought that was, for me, that was the attitude where we're talking about Australia's not winning. We're talking about any other team, that they're not taking the initiative to score. Even with the bowling or batting, they're not aggressive. So they're going to get stuck, right? They're waiting for the best conditions to happen. So I think that's where we went wrong. But again, so you never know, Pakistan and India will play again in semi-finals.
I'm teeing that up. I think it may happen. We can only hope for something like that.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी, मैं हूं शाजिया मंजूर और इस वक्त जो लोग मुझे कनाडा में देख और सुन रहे हैं उनको मैं ये बताना चाहती हूँ, और ये बताते हुए मुझे बहुत खुशी महसूस हो रही है कि आई एम डूइंग एन एक्सक्लूसिव टूर फॉर शौकत खानम कैंसर हॉस्पिटल एंड रिसर्च सेंटर। शौकत खानम कैंसर हॉस्पिटल एक ऐसा कॉज है जो हमेशा मेरे दिल के बहुत करीब रहा है और मुझे इंतहाई खुशी है कि मैं इसके लिए परफॉर्म करने जा रही हूँ अक्टूबर में कनाडा में। तो ताकि हम जो कराची का हमारा प्रोजेक्ट है हम उसको कंप्लीट कर सकें और जो हमारे कैंसर पेशेंट्स हैं उनकी ज़िंदगियों को हम तब्दील कर सकें और वो सेहतमंद हो सकें। तो आई विल बी देयर जी इन 2023 अक्टूबर कनाडा। तो आप सबसे मिलके मुझे बहुत खुशी होगी और बहुत जल्दी हम मुलाकात करेंगे फॉर दिस टूर। थैंक यू सो मच।
What were you doing last night? What did you do with Afghanistan that they said, okay, we're going to win against England?
I didn't watch the game till this morning. I had to go to work, so I mean, you know what? I'll get up and I saw England's chasing it's 285 or something. I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
284, yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I watched a little bit in the morning, then I saw the 2 wickets fall, and I went, root, play back, get bowled. And like, on this type of wicket, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
They're in trouble. I thought they were in trouble. So when I went to work, I keep checking the score, and then it was 6 down. I said, it's over. And as I was talking earlier, I am disappointed with England because I think they're a little bit overconfident. Because for me, you have your superstar Stokes. If he's not 50%, he shouldn't be on that team. Bring somebody else in. So they're hoping to win a few games and then bring him in the semi-finals to be a superhuman. It doesn't work like that.
No.
And I don't think they're going to make it.
And I agree with you because like other teams, I think Ben Stokes, they're thinking he is they rely probably more on a batting side of it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I think, okay, if he's super fit, he can probably bowl a few overs and he can get us through. So right now they're not getting a batsman, they're not getting a bowler. Mm-hmm. So why would you have him? Because now you're throwing off your balance as an England team. Yeah. And Ron, question for you again is that Afghanistan heavily depends on Gurbaz Khan, mm-hmm. right? So he comes in, he wants to play all the shots, and he will let you destroy all the line of length from any of the batting lineup, which he did today as well, right? So there was no plan. They were bowling short, they were bowling wherever they wanted to, and they had no plan against Gurbaz Khan because Afghanistan is not their party because they were on a different level.
Yes.
But the cricket tells you you gotta keep your feet to the ground.
Of course, because Afghanistan is in their mind maybe an underdog. And I always say, this is a World Cup. Nobody coming here to lose. They're playing for pride, they're playing for their country. So it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You put your best game forward against the top teams and you just might win. And I didn't think they believed that they're going to bowl these guys out cheap, but they come in, they had a plan that says, let's get a few early wickets and then put the pressure on England. And they never recovered. And that's what pressure does. And you have to have a game plan and execute the plan. Once you get the execution of the plan, you're going to get the results you want.
Yeah. So I think any other team, if you were playing against England and you scored 284, right? Normally you're thinking, yeah, England's going to win. So your bowlers are not really feeling the belief mm-hmm. that Afghanistan today believed. Mm-hmm. Mujibur Rahman getting 3 wickets again, mm-hmm. right? And because of the wickets, he's not being able to spin the ball a lot, just using fingers. But having said that, but he still got 3 wickets, and I think that got him going, and with Farooqi helping out with another wicket. Bowling, Afghanistan bowling, what do you think?
It's the World Cup. You're playing in India. The wickets will assist the slower bowlers, and if you've got a medium pacer, it doesn't have to be a quick bowler. Because England has Wood. He's one of the quickest bowlers, but if you're just bowling straight up and down, that's not going to get good players out, right? That's good to bowl the tail-enders. You need guys that can bowl wicket to wicket and variation, and then those 2 bowlers brought that today.
They did.
It's all about belief. It's all about belief. You put that belief on the mat, you can be successful.
So for England, and I have to admit one thing. I think in our last program, Ronnie mentioned one thing, and he said Afghanistan is going to give us a surprise. And he even said, Netherlands and Afghanistan, those are the 2 main teams to look for. But do you see Afghanistan, the way they've played, they now have a belief that they can topple a few of the teams. I always know that when they play against Pakistan, they always believe that they're going to win, mm-hmm. and which is why those are really good games. So you think from Afghanistan side of it, showing some more consistency rather than just being underdogs. And from England's side of it, I think you mentioned that England has some troubles to think about in the future.
Yes, Afghanistan, a win, it's like getting a healthy paycheck, right? It just brings your confidence up. So now they think, oh, we beat England, we can compete here. So the other teams better don't take them lightly. They might have let us, but they haven't. The problem with some of these other teams, they can only score average 250, 260. You're not going to win many games with 250, 650 in India. You need to get 300 plus. And teams like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Netherlands, their average is not over 300. So they will struggle chasing a big score. So it's probably better for them to feel first and then go the other route.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think in the end, I think we'll just talk about a couple of big news for me. Kane Williamson, he struck a ball on his finger while he was running. I mean, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't the bowlers or the fielding fault either. But having a fracture, I think that might be an impact on New Zealand, because he's the backbone of the New Zealand. You think New Zealand will have any impact? Even though I'm thinking that's a hairline fracture, and he will be back at some point of the World Cup.
He might be back, but mind you, he only played one game, and all the preliminary games, New Zealand were clicking. So he's just an added bonus for them. So if he's not in the squad, they'll still do well. They have a core of the top 4 or 5 players there. They have a core, and their bowling is very good.
Looks like, yeah. And let's end with again one more question about Australia, because I think if they lose another game, I think they're pretty much out.
Yes, and so is England. Whoever those teams play next, they better win overwhelmingly, not squeeze a win. They need to just blow the team out of the water. The batters have to raise the game. If they don't get there, then I don't see them competing. As I tell you my top 4, and I'm sticking to it.
Pakistan obviously have a disappointment of losing the 8th straight World Cup 50-50 game. My personal thinking is that unless that has impeded you from winning a World Cup, that didn't happen, because Pakistan lost against India in 1992, still won the World Cup. But I think that plays something that is an added pressure to Pakistan every time they go into the World Cup. I think they're going to have to break that cliche one time or the other. So where do you see the Pakistani team, the mix of players that at this moment that they have? Because if you look at if I compare Pakistan and India, I thought those teams they were quality-wise, they were far apart. They seemed like in this cricket match. And I'm not saying on another day Pakistan always have the ability to come back and they play that super leagues that you would say, wow, what players, what talent they have. But in this match, they look like the quality of those two teams were far apart. Is there a chance within the people sitting outside or something, and that they can mix or they can change, or they change the order? What do they do?
Well, I'm not very familiar with the full squad because we don't see a lot of Pakistani cricketers. I just watch them when they're playing against certain teams. But from what I see building up to the World Cup, they've got the talent to finish in the top 4, and I think they will come back. I really strongly believe that. These guys play with pride, just like everybody else. And it's, as you know, in Pakistan, it's almost like a religion, the game. It's a lot of pressure on their backs, and these guys they will come out of this. I see a recovery coming. How far, we don't know. But if they finish in the top 4, it's going to be interesting. And I'm hoping for a recovery. Babar hasn't get 100 yet. He's due, and it's going to come. And the 2 opening batsmen, what's the other batsman's name?
Abdullah Shafiq?
Yes, I like him.
Yeah.
He's
very solid.
He's got
very
some
solid.
ability. Yeah. He didn't get off, but he's going to score big. Yeah. So I think it's going to be okay. Shahid Afridi he's not as quick as he used to be, and he's a little bit off, because I guarantee I'll 6 a wicket in the first or second over with that ball that's ducking in.
Yeah.
And Haris Rauf is still bowling quick, but he needs to bowl wicket to wicket, because with that pace, it's hard to get the ball off the square.
Yeah.
And instead of just bowling short, bowl wicket to wicket, and he's going to be fine. Hassan Ali, he was out the mix for a while. He's a good pro. He's a good professional cricketer, playing in the leagues and stuff. He does a lot of variation. I wouldn't open the bowling with him. I would hold him back. And I will try to get the spinner on a little earlier.
And you're right. And I think the mix of Pakistani cricket team, they wanted to have the openers, but their opener who could be a Mitch Marsh or other aggressive openers, Fakhr, he's not performing well, unfortunately. They tried, they gave him the room, they gave him the time. He just didn't click. So Abdullah Shafiq is somebody who can't score at 150 strike rate, but he can score at 100, 110. So I think that is a good temperamental, solid batting. But he's not getting the support from Imam, and Imam is also a very top-notch player. Other than, I think he's still waiting for a bowler to give me a ball and I'll score you a hit, and that's just not clicking that way. And I think so. From that end, they want to write a story with Babar Azam and Rizwan, and they want to write it every day, and that's not going to happen every day in cricket. We all know this, right? So they want to score that 150, 200 runs together. It's just not going to happen in every game. And when it's not going to happen, what do you have coming after, right? So they have the, and I always think about the 30s and 40s average, where Shadab Khan, and Nawaz, they're coming in, and they want them to bowl a little bit and then bat a little bit. So they're not the full bowlers of a 50-50, and they're not the full batsmen of the 50-50. And hence the balance that they've thought about is to take our game to 40 overs plus. But yesterday it happened in the 35th over. So they weren't ready, and they don't have the quality of the players to play with that. So we don't have the bench strength to now change. So they have what they have. And if I may, we always have a benchmark of 1992 World Cup, and right in the beginning of the 1992 World Cup, Imran Khan had a setback of Waqar Younis where he wasn't fit. So when he wasn't fit, he was short of a bowler. Do you remember Ijaz Ahmed? He was a batsman, and he brought him in as a medium pace bowler. He got him into 8 to 9 overs a game, and then he had a support from Amr Sohail, who used to bowl. He was also a batsman, right? So I think what I'm referring to is that a captain has to have out of the box thinking. If you have the mix what you have, and you don't have a choice of bringing anybody else out from outside. Now he's got to think, how am I going to use those batsmen? Because you want the batting to be long enough, right? In which he doesn't have a long enough batting, and that's where the problem is, I'm thinking.
Why does he open with Rizwan then?
So that's absolutely. So he's going to have to think that way, right? That how do I make my batting lineup long enough? If he had, so Abdullah Shafiq, he's batting as an opener. He can also bat at the bottom end, but they're going to have to decide one thing, that do we want to explode in the beginning or not? And if we need to explode, do we have the batsmen to do so? And who is the one that we can sacrifice and say, go play your shots, and if you don't score, it's fine. One more thing about Imran Khan, because we always, I think he was the best leader Pakistan has ever produced. So Wasim Akram was bowling really fast, and I heard from Wasim Akram saying this in his program, and he was saying that I was a little shy and thinking bad that I'm bowling no balls and I'm bowling white balls. And he said I was at a breakfast, and I had a newspaper in front of me, and I've got a game today. And he says the newspaper says, where Imran Khan has been given an interview, and he said, bowl fast. That is my requirement to you. Don't care about fast, don't care about no balls, don't care about white balls. And he says, I had a big heart, and I said, okay, sure, this is what my captain wants. So I think our captain Pakistani captain needs to go in and they need to think about what is the balance that's required in this World Cup, not the traditional cricket.
Well, I think the selection committee, I guess they have the team meetings, and generally they have the senior players in those meetings to come up with some type of formula that they can try. At least try. If things aren't working the way it is, you tweak it a bit and see where it goes. And if it doesn't work, maybe you've got the wrong the whole thing needs to change.
Absolutely.
But we're in the middle of a tournament, so they don't have a lot of time.
Regardless, Ron, I
hopefully
think
the think tank comes in and say, okay, let's try something different.
Absolutely, and I think it's still going to be it's promising to be an exciting World Cup, and next week is going to be the most important one, I think, where the chess game goes more intense. Yes. And find out where you are and how are you going to perform in the future. So we'll continue our conversations in the next week as well. In the meantime, you tell us if you're watching this fantastic program through social media, ask us questions, and we will try to bring you the answers for that. But having said that, we have a very exciting World Cup going on. Thank you so very much, Ron, for your time again.
Thanks for having me here.
And thank you. And thank you, Vancouver with Naveed Waraich, with the producer Naveed Waraich. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.